Scrolling along with Susan here again. I'm going to be showing you how I make my yin-yang bonsai trees in this video. Now, in the past video, I've already shown how to cut out the rounds. So here for this project, I'll be using walnut and maple. So if you want to see how to do that, check out that other video. In this one, I'm going to be showing you attaching the pattern, cutting it out, and finishing the project. So I hope you enjoy this. Here I have my original yin-yang bonsai drawing. I scanned it in and I have pulled it up here in paint. It is an 8.5 inch round. So when you're drawing this, you must have one continuous piece to cut. So I start, if you can see my little cursor here, I start at one end and then I draw the one yin-yang tree all the way around, and then I come here to the trunk and automatically go into the next tree and draw all of that, and then I will be exiting over here on the other side. So when you are cutting this, it is one continuous cut. And the way to expand it, if you wish to have it resized, this is 8.5. You can use percentage or pixels, and you'll need to do a little bit of math here to see what size that you want. Let's say that I want to increase it for 120%. This is where you would change to 120% and then print your copy. I have 3 separate sets of rounds cut out, all of them with walnut on one side and maple on the other. This is 10.5, 11 inch, and 12 inch. So I'm going to experiment with how I want to attach the pattern and which one it works best for me. This one I have covered with all packing tape, and then I'm going to spray and glue it right to the packing tape. This one I've already done. I put packing tape to secure the 2 pieces together. Then I put down my contact paper. Then I sprayed the pattern and put the contact paper on top of it. Didn't work out so well. Next time I need to spray the pattern, put it on the contact paper, and then place it on top of my wood. I couldn't adjust it very well. It wanted to stick so quickly to the contact paper. And this third one I haven't secured with my packing tape, but I'm going to cover the whole thing with blue painter's tape, spray the pattern, and put it right on there. So we'll see which one I like the best. As these pieces are called segmentation. They are not intarsia and they're not fretworking, but they're where you stack 2 pieces of wood together. So in this case it's my maple and my walnut, and you'll be cutting them out at the same time and then mixing up the pieces to create segmentation. Now you could get a lot tighter fit than we have here by beveling the scroll saw, but then you would end up with only one finished piece that was nice and tight instead of 2 pieces. And it's actually used in puzzles, and it's not going to be a perfect tight fit, and that's why it's called segmentation. So I've decided to use my 11 inch round piece. And if you remember, this wasn't glued up properly. It's not exactly lined up perfect, so I had to make a little bit of adjustments to them to make them fit a little bit better on my piece. Here I have my DeWalt 788, and I have installed a 2.0 blade. And this particular blade I purchased with Judy Gill Roberts in Tarja Studio. It's called Online, but any of them will work. You want to use the smallest blades you possibly can so you can have the tightest fitting segmentation piece. It is very important to make sure that you line up your blade at a 90-degree angle to get the best fit as well. So once you've installed your blade, make sure that it's 90-degree angle by testing it from the back and the side. And this is all ready to go, and I'll start my cutting. This 2.0 blade, even though it's their Platinum Plus and it's supposed to be long lasting, there's no way that it's going to last all the way through this project, because by the time I attach these 2 together, we're dealing with a 1/2 inch of hard wood. So it's going to dull this blade out. Hopefully I'll get halfway through, if not at least a third of the way through, so I'll probably end up using 3 blades to do this whole project. So let's get started. It is important that you go steady and slow and always forward. Do not try to go backwards and correct anything, because then you'll have little gaps in your wood. Take your time with this, and when you feel like you're pushing the blade, that's when it's getting dull and you'll need to stop and change the blade, and I'll show you how to do that shortly. Oh boy, so I haven't even gotten a third of this done and my blade is already dull. And the reason that I know that is I'm going very slowly forward and it is barely cutting, and the blade wants to swerve and move on me. So I know that it's dull and I know that I have to replace this blade. It's in a very tricky spot. I'm going to try to get to this inner part right here, if I can make it that far, and then take it out. I have made it to my stopping point, and it probably took me about a minute just to do that tiny bit. But I didn't want to force the blade and have it be whopper-jawed and ruin my project. So I'm here, and I'm going to be changing my blade. And this will be fairly tricky. Normally you have bigger holes in order to take one blade out and feed it through, but this is going to be a very thin way of weeding it through. I'm actually taking my blade from the bottom and feeding it through so that I'm not creating any bigger hole than I have to. And it may create a little bit of a problem, and this is the only time that I do this. Otherwise I would actually put it on my machine and try to feed it through, but I want to make sure I'm not creating any bigger holes than I have to here. Now it's time to put it down on the machine and reattach it. I'm going to attach the top part first. And obviously you're making sure that the teeth are aiming in the right direction. It does take a little bit of time because you want to make sure this is done right. All right. And now I'm securing the bottom of it, tightening the blade, and I'm ready to continue. Well, that last blade only lasted through one tree section, but you know what? The blades are only $5 for a dozen, so luckily they're not that expensive. And since I have time here when I'm changing blades, I'm going to secure this one end. It just seems to be wobbling a little bit now that I've cut it, and I just want to make sure it doesn't fall apart on me when I'm finishing up this project. So I'm doing a little bit of taping, and now I'm ready to put in my next blade. All right, I have put my blade back in. I'm going to have to probably run up and down, yeah, so that it's adjusted. I'm going to loosen it, reclamp it, tighten it again, just to make sure it's ready to roll. And that feels real good. I just wanted to point out that I wasn't exact on a lot of these curves, but that's okay. It's a treat. I have learned a very valuable lesson, not to use clear packing tape. I used that so that I wouldn't have any raised bumps and crevices on the bottom, but it's very hard to remove. So from now on, I'm going to cover the whole thing with blue painter's tape and then put my contact paper with my pattern on top of it. The contact paper was very easy to remove. The packing tape, not so much. It's time for the sanding now. Because I sanded very well before cutting, it's only going to take a light sanding. And I like to use a hand sander because it's fairly delicate. You could use a palm sander, an electric one, but I wouldn't put it through too much stress. So I'm going to be sanding both sides and then we'll put it together. The next step is to combine the two together. So I'm going to gently tap out one from the other. And this is fitting nice and tight, so I'm really happy with what I'm seeing here. There we go. Just a gentle amount of touch, and this takes some time. There we are. There we go with one. I've got them both out. Now it's time to put them together. Again, this one's going to take some time. Well, actually, no. It's going to fit right in there. Oh, it's looking really nice. I'm very excited with the way that this turned out. This is a nice tight fit. That's why I'm having a little problem squeezing it all in. Once I get it all in, then it's time to glue it up. Here I have a backing for my yin-yang trees, and I've wood burned it. I showed that in another video if you're interested in having a fancy backing on this. It really matches the tree on the front, so you need to cover this with glue, nice even cover with glue, and secure this and then put weight on top. But before you do that, you need to glue especially the ends here so they're nice and secure on the piece. And I also place glue a couple dabs throughout from the bottom, and then I secure it with my quick jaw band clamp. I took off the parts that you use for framework so that it's just a round piece, and then you secure it like this, making sure that these are nice and tight and even. Tighten this up after you've put the glue on it and let it sit overnight. Also put something on top to weigh it down so all the pieces, there's nothing raised on it. Everything is nice and flat. Well, it's time to wrap up another video. I hope this has been helpful to you on maybe creating your own bonsai yin-yang trees or something with segmentation. So I want to show you how I would finish my project. Here are some of the options on finishing the project. I have spray-on poly, which is the hardest to control so you won't have blotches on your project. I would prefer to be able to brush it on or wipe it on. So here are the other wipe on poly and regular polyurethane. Then I have Danish oil, natural, which I really like. And then I have just plain mineral oil. So whatever you want to finish your project, it's okay. You just want to keep in mind that you want to bring out the beauty of the wood. And you want to try to put about 2 to 3 coats on the front and the sides of your project. This will finish my project today. I want to thank you for watching. And one more thing, this is for the backing of your project to hang it up on the wall. You can buy these little picture hanger kits, and they do have nails that are less than ½ inch so they won't poke through the other side of your project. If you like what you see, click that like button and subscribe to my channel. This is Susan signing off. Thanks.